Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing a full look tutorial using the majority of Nars products and also featuring their brand new Claudette collection just in time for Valentine's Day. A few things before we get started is number one, don't watch my hair in the next couple clips. We only care about what it looked like at the end, okay? And number two, if you have any suggestions or you want to see something next time, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. So if you like this look, keep watching and you're going to learn how to recreate it. So I'm going to go ahead, quickly do my brows. I use these two brow products for my brows. So this is precisely my brow pencil by Benefit, and this is a 24-hour brow setter by Benefit as well. I've been using these for a while now. This particular product is literally like my ride or die, and I've been using the pencil. I really like the pencil as well, so I'm going to quickly just put my brows on. We'll speed through that and then we'll head straight into the eye palette. Okay, so brows are done and let's head into the palette. Now, when I use an eye palette, any eye palette, I always like to go in with the Plouise eye base. I use shade Rumor 4, which is this one right here. And I go with a nice flat, sharp edged brush. This is the MAC 247. This is quite old, so I don't know if they still do it, but any kind of synthetic sharp-ended, oh my gosh, brush will do the trick. So I like to just run it underneath my brows. And then once you've got it underneath your brow, I just pull it down onto my lid. Okay, so once your eye base is on, I just like to run over with a little baby sponge just to get rid of the excess and just stop any creasing. So we're going to head straight into the palette and we're going to go for this mid-toned brown colour just here. We're using a 228 Zoeva crease brush. So this is like a medium size blending brush. It's got a really nice precise tip on it, and the tip here is that we're literally the tip to go right into the crease of the eye, and we're going to start to carve out a little bit of a winged shape, but just almost like a shadow, nothing dramatic or anything like that. Okay, so as you can see, that wing shape is coming along really nicely, and we're going to go on to the other side. So just to make sure there is no creasing on the lid, and then we're just gently sweeping it along the lash line all the way out to the brows. Again, creating like a nice like winged out effect, and then again pulling in. And the tip here is literally only use the tip of the brush, don't use it on its edge, on its side. You'll get too much product everywhere and you'll lose the preciseness of your application. And another tip is to use just a really nice light pressure. Don't push too hard, because if you push too hard, you'll kind of push down on that kind of like tip of the brush. And again, you won't get that preciseness. So we go straight into this deep brown shade now, and I'm literally just picking up a little bit on my brush. We've switched brushes as well. This is a small like blending brush. I don't know why that took me so long to get out, but this is an M462 brush. It's a Morphe brush, and we're just going to go in and out of that shape we just created. So we're going to create some depth now to that outer kind of winged shape. Now we're just going to go in with this burnt orange shade here, and we're going to use again like another small blending brush. This is just kind of like another variation of this Morphe brush. If I had another Morphe brush, I would have just used that. This one happens to be a MAC 221 brush, and I'm just going to take that through this area here. So kind of like midway, going towards like that outer corner of the eye, the inner corner of the eye, sorry. And then what you want to do is just get like a nice clean fluffy blending brush and just make sure you're diffusing those outer edges. So next we're going to go back in with our eye base, and we're actually going to do like a bit of a cut crease. So I'm just going to edge around the eye and carve out a nice blank space. So now we have our cut crease on, we're just going to go back in with that dark brown shade and just blend out those edges just so it really blends in with where that product sits, and we're keeping with that nice winged out shape. And then we're going to add a little bit of gold. We're going to go with this gold shade here to start off with. So I'm going over a brush from a brand called 6 Plus. This is a detail brush, it's an E44. So we're just going to take this into the outer corner. Blend that through, making sure we just pack that gold on. And again, just blend that out. Feel free to add some of the brown to the corners as well if you feel like it needs a little bit of diffusing. And then lastly, we're going to then go in with this creamy colour right in the middle here, and we're going to put that on that kind of like mid to inner corner area. Our eyes are basically done now. I just want to add a little bit of a detail just along the lash line, so I'm using that really small blending brush again, and I'm just pulling that little brown shade just on to the lid a little bit, and then just making sure that that shape is still nice and sharp. And we'll also use that same shade to wrap underneath the eye as well. So we're going in with the Marc Jacobs highliner in the shade Brownie, and we're literally just going to run this really close, so almost like aim as if you're like drawing on your actual lashes through the waterline, and that will kind of give us a base just to wrap that colour around the outside of the eye underneath. And we're going to just use the excess that is on the brush from what we were using in the corners. Okay, so that is the eyes basically complete. We just need to put some lashes on. So let's put some lashes on and I'll be back in a sec. Okay guys, I'm back. I've got my lashes on and I'm wearing my own brand, so by Bex Campbell, and these are in the style Doll. Now these are really wispy lash. They go well with like everything. They work really well in the daytime and in the evening. They're quite long, so they do look quite dramatic, but at the same time they're super wispy as well, so they're really wearable. So let's head in to the skin. So I'm going to be using the Huda primer. So this is the water jelly primer. I do have the Radiance primer by Nars, but I can't happen to find it at the moment. So we're going to go in with this. So I love to just prep my skin with something really hydrating. I feel like it helps just add like a bounce to the skin, but also it helps just prepare the skin for foundation to sit down as well. I like to overload with this too. Not every primer you can do this with, but just because this is such a lightweight formula and it's just really hydrating, it's almost just like a glass of water for the skin. So it just absorbs really quickly. It doesn't feel like you're putting on like an extra layer of product, which I really love. The primer's now absorbed into the skin, so I always recommend like around 1 to 2 minutes before you put your foundation directly over the top of your primer. And we're going to be going with NARS Sheer Glow foundation. So this is one of my favourite foundations that they do. They also do the Total Control foundation, which is really good if you want like more of like a medium to full coverage, but also with that as well you get a little bit more of a matte finish, so it's better if you've got a little bit more of an oily skin. The Sheer Glow is great. It's a bit more of like a medium, like a light to medium coverage. You can build it up though, but with this one I do tend to find that you will have a little bit more of a glow, but that doesn't mean say if you've got oily skin you can't use it. It'd just be about prepping the skin correctly and then also just making sure you're setting it very well in the place that you need it. So I'm going to pop a bit onto the back of my hand. With this it does actually come with, well it doesn't come with it, you can buy a pump to go separately with it, but I have never bought a pump for it, so I tend to just tip it onto the back of my hand, and I'm just going to go in with my Alia Cosmetics A6 brush, which is a really nice buffing foundation brush. It's nice and dense so you can get real smooth application. And I really like this just because with this foundation a little goes just like a long way, so you don't have to overly apply in huge amounts. You can put like a tiny bit on and just work it into the skin, and it should be enough. So I'm just going to go with a tad more just to go over my nose area and then just onto the top of my forehead as well. And I don't actually put a lot of foundation up there. The main reason is because this is the darkest area of my face, so I tend to put more bronzer up there, but I do tend to put like a tad and then just blend it in with bronzer. So even though you can probably see there's a little bit of a line going on, I kind of leave that and then just blend it together at the last minute. Okay, so next up is concealer. This is a NARS Creamy Radiance Concealer. This is in the shade Ginger, and basically I like to use this as a little bit of a highlight shade. I have used Biscuit, and I do use the shade Biscuit from time to time. It's a little bit more of a shade that matches my skin tone, so it's just a really nice one if you want to just spot correct versus actually highlight. This is going to be a really quick complexion. This is nothing like full on or anything like that. It's just to obviously complement the eyes. I don't like to go too heavy on the skin if I've got like a real, like, it's not a heavy eye look, but you know, if it's quite like a detailed eye look that's quite bold, I just like to let like one feature kind of like talk at once, if that makes sense. So I'm just going in with this brush. This is a Zoeva 146 brush. This is a concealer brush, but I actually really like this as a contour brush as well. It's like a really nice, like kind of like a tulip shape, and it just works nicely just to kind of get into like the contours of the under eye. It helps you to really kind of sculpt around like your eyeshadow as well, which is really nice. And then just to set that, I'm going to go in with the Laura Mercier Honey Translucent Powder. So here it is right here. I'm using the BH9 brush. It's quite a dense, like fluffy brush. I would normally actually use like a powder puff if I'm really kind of like setting and like baking the under eye, but I never kind of leave the product there and like let it settle into the face. I always either like press it in or use like a fluffy brush. I'm using the brush today because I just want to be able to keep the glow in certain areas, but then obviously prevent creasing in others. So we're just going to run it underneath the eyes, around the corners of the nose. You can actually touch across like the tops of the brows as well, because they're like areas you wouldn't want to look like shiny or like, you know, greasy or, you know. So now we're going to move on to bronzer. So I have a NARS bronzer. It is this one here. This is the Casino bronzer, and it's really nice. It's almost like it's got a really slight shimmer to it, so it makes it look like a little bit more glowy on the skin, which I really like. And we're going to go in with quite a big brush. This is a Zoeva 108 brush, and I'm just picking up the product. And don't get put off that it is a big brush. It's quite nice if you're looking to get a real nice bronzy effect versus like a contour. And I'm wanting to contour, but I'm wanting to have a bit more of a bronzy effect at the same time. So we're just gonna use the edge of the brush. So this kind of domes out, if you can see it, and we're using like this surface area to kind of go into the cheekbone, and then you can kind of use the actual surface of the brush to kind of like diffuse up into the hairline. So this is where I blend in that foundation on my forehead with the rest of my face. As I said, it does get that little bit more darker on my forehead, so I do need something to blend through. So as you can see now, like the foundation and stuff is starting to like really pull together, and I feel like the bronzer is the bit that does that. So you don't have to stop at bronzer. I am a bronzer girl. I prefer a bronzer over a blush, but you can wear both. We're going to be using both today, and the reason I went for this bronzer versus the one in that palette is just because that one in the palette is a little bit too light for my skin tone. I think I'll get away with the blush itself, but not necessarily the bronzer. It is the blusher quad and bronzer. So as you can see, it's like a really light bronzer, like you can see it there, but the pink for the blush is gonna work really nicely, I think. Picking up that product, and I'm just going onto the cheekbones and pushing up again because I want to give a lifted effect, and just slowly building up the colour on my cheeks. Too much. People do dust it over their nose. I don't normally do that, but maybe it'll look cute. I like it on other people, I just don't like it on me. So we're now going to move on to lips. So first and foremost, I need to wipe off the excess on my lip. So a little tip that I like to do is I like to kind of carve out my lip shape first. I get a wipe, don't worry, it's biodegradable. And I like to just go around the outline of my lip. I really like to have a really strong, pronounced Cupid's bow. So as you can see, it kind of gives me that effect straight away. So we're going in with the Simone Uoma Beauty pencil. So it's a little bit of a darker brown. So we're going to go around the lip line. This is the lipstick here, really nice packaging. This is called Berenice, I think. I can't pronounce things, and there's loads of like little apostrophes above the E, so it could be completely wrong. But I attempted it, and that's the main thing. So I'm just going to go in with this, and I'm just going to lightly apply. We're going to go in with the Martinez gloss. Okay guys, so this brings me to the end of the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. I really love this look and I really like this Nars collection. So just as a reminder, this was using mainly Nars products, but there was a few like of my favourites intertwined into there as well. But I will be making more full look tutorials, so keep an eye out. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe so you're up to date with my newest uploads. And yeah, I hope to see you all soon. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah.